Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents HBR Guide to Getting the Right Work Done by Harvard Business Review, narrated by Jonathan Yen. Publisher's note: this audiobook has bonus material. Please contact whomever you purchased this audiobook from to request the material.
What you'll learn. Are you paralyzed by the pile of projects on your plate? Has fear of delegation buried you in administrivia? Is your focus destroyed by the incessant call of email and Twitter? Do you leave work exhausted, but with little to show for it? Are promotions passing you by because your peers are more productive? You can't possibly tackle every task that awaits you, but here's the good news. You can learn to get the right work done, focusing your time and energy where it'll yield the greatest reward for you and your organization. This guide will help by offering a range of accessible tools so you can sample them and see what works for you. You'll get better at prioritizing, staying focused, working less but accomplishing more, stopping bad habits and developing good ones, writing to-do lists that work, breaking overwhelming projects into manageable pieces, thwarting email overload, refueling your energy. Section 1. Get Started. Chapter 1. You Can't Get It All Done, by Peter Bregman. Brad is as hard a worker as anyone I know. Names and some details have been changed. He's not just busy, he's keenly focused on getting the right things done, and it pays off. He is the largest single revenue generator at his well-known professional services firm. A few days before Thanksgiving, Brad flew from Boston to Los Angeles with his family. During the 5-hour flight, he decided not to use the plane's internet access, choosing to play with his children instead. A 5-hour digital vacation. When they landed, Brad turned on his BlackBerry and discovered that a crisis had developed while he was in the air. He had close to 500 new email messages. So much for a digital vacation. The truth is, we can't really get away from it. There's no escaping the non-stop surge of email, text, voicemail, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and that's just the technology-based stream. How can we ever catch up? We can't. The idea that we can get it all done is the biggest myth in time management. There's no way Brad can meaningfully go through all his email, and there's no way any of us are going to accomplish everything we want to. Face it, you're a limited resource. On the one hand, that's depressing. On the other hand, acknowledging it can be tremendously empowering. Once we admit that we aren't going to get it all done, we're in a much better position to make explicit choices about what we are going to do. Instead of letting things haphazardly fall through the cracks, we can intentionally push the unimportant things aside and focus our energy on the things that matter most. That's what this guide is all about. There are two main challenges in doing the right things: identifying what they are and then doing them. To determine the right things, we need to make choices that will move us toward the outcomes we most want, which, of course, means we need to know what our priorities are. In terms of the second challenge, the doing or follow-through, we need tools, rituals, to-do lists, delegation skills. But which tools will work best for you? Which rituals will help you follow through? You might be the kind of person who can read through a book like this, full of great advice, and implement it all at once. I am not. I get overwhelmed and end up not changing anything. So here's one way to use this guide. 1. Identify your time management challenges. Do you leave the office with a nagging feeling that you worked all day but didn't get your most important work done? Are you distracted by little things, avoiding big, hairy projects? Take the 3-minute quiz, How Well Do You Manage Distraction, to discover where you're distracting yourself the most. 2. Find one piece of advice you think will have the greatest impact on your work. Once you've identified your biggest challenges, browse through this guide and find a tip that speaks to you. Maybe you're not clear on your right things. Maybe the rituals you're using aren't working. Maybe you procrastinate. Choose one tactic you think will help you the most. Then do that one thing. 3. Do it again. Once that tactic has had an impact on your work, repeat the process. Return to this guide and select another tip. Because Brad is a paragon of productivity, he decided to put his BlackBerry away and wait to reply to the messages until he was in his hotel room. Then, using his laptop, he attacked the crisis, called his client to allay their concerns, delegated tasks to his team, and sent an email to his team and his client detailing the plan. Within an hour, he had finished, shut his laptop, left his BlackBerry in his room, and enjoyed a fun, chaos-filled dinner with his family, which, at that time, was precisely the right thing for him to do. How well do you manage distraction? Answer the following questions with never, occasionally, often, or always. 1. Even though it feels like I work nonstop all day, I still don't get the most important things done. 2. No matter what I intend to focus on at the beginning of the day, as soon as I start working, checking email, etc., I seem to get derailed and lose my focus. 3. When I have something important and challenging I want to accomplish, I spend my time doing lots of little things and avoiding the big one. 4. When my work gets challenging, I somehow keep interrupting myself by surfing the web, doing email, and other distractions. 5. When I'm on a conference call, I get bored and start multitasking until I miss something important. Then I try to recover without making it obvious that I wasn't paying attention. 6. I'm late for meetings and appointments because I try to get one more thing done instead of leaving enough time for preparation and/or travel. 7. I feel overwhelmed and stressed out by the number of things I have to do. 8. My workday ends in frustration as I think about all the things I intended to accomplish but didn't. 9. When I try to make space for my own work, I get interrupted by others, and I find it hard to protect my time. 10. I don't spend enough time at work in my sweet spot, doing work I'm really good at and enjoy the most. Guide to Scores. If you selected mostly never, congratulations! You're already doing a great job of focusing on the work that will give you and your organization the highest reward. You likely already have rituals and tactics that make you productive. Look to this guide for some new tips and ideas to expand your collection of productivity tools. If you selected mostly occasionally, you're doing pretty well. Perhaps willpower or delegating is helping you focus on getting the right work done. But there's even more you could be doing to boost your productivity. Perhaps you haven't experimented with rituals. Perhaps your obsession with email is derailing you. Keep listening to discover new ideas about how you can get even more of the right work done. If you selected mostly often, you could use a process to help you get and stay focused on the right work. Resist the allure of urgent projects to focus on the work with the greatest long-term rewards. Learn how to craft the most useful to-do lists so that you can power through them and leave work feeling a sense of accomplishment. If you selected mostly always, you need help, but you know that because you bought this guide, so you're already on the path to productivity. Pick your biggest pain point and start there, then return to the guide as often as you need to. This quiz is derived from Peter's book, 18 Minutes. Find your focus, master distractions, and get the right things done. For free 18 Minutes tools and resources, including an online version of this quiz offering more detailed results and feedback, visit peterbregman.com. Peter Bregman is a strategic advisor to CEOs and their leadership teams. His latest book is 18 Minutes. Find your focus, master distraction, and get the right things done. Chapter 2. 9 Things Successful People Do Differently, by Heidi Grant Halverson. Why have you been so successful in reaching some of your goals, but not others? If you aren't sure, you're far from alone. Even brilliant, highly accomplished people are pretty lousy when it comes to understanding why they succeed or fail. The intuitive answer, that you're born predisposed to certain talents and lacking in others, is really just one small piece of the puzzle. In fact, decades of research on achievement suggests that successful people reach their personal and professional goals not simply because of who they are, but more often because of what they do. What follows are the 9 things that successful people do, the strategies they use to set and pursue goals, sometimes without consciously realizing it, that have the biggest impact on performance. 1. Get specific. When you set a goal, be as specific as possible. Lose 5 pounds is a better goal than lose some weight, because it gives you a clear idea of what success looks like. Knowing exactly what you want to achieve keeps you motivated until you get there. Also, consider the specific actions you'll need to take to reach your goal. Promising you'll eat less or sleep more is too vague. I'll be in bed by 10 p.m. on weeknights leaves no doubt about what you need to do and whether or not you've actually done it. Spelling out exactly what you want to achieve removes the possibility of settling for less, of telling yourself that what you've done is good enough. It also makes your course of action clearer. Instead of getting ahead at work, make your goal more concrete, such as a pay raise of at least X number of dollars, or a promotion to at least the X level. To be successful, you also need to get specific about the obstacles you may encounter. In fact, what you really need to do is go back and forth, thinking about the success you want to achieve and the steps it will take to get there. This strategy is called mental contrasting, and it's a remarkably effective way to set goals and strengthen your commitment. To use the mental contrasting technique, first imagine how you'll feel attaining your goal. Picture it as vividly as you can. Really consider the details. Next, think about the obstacles in your way. For instance, if you wanted to get a better, higher-paying job, you would start by imagining the sense of pride and excitement you would feel accepting a lucrative offer at a top firm. Then you would think about what stands between you and that offer, namely all the other really outstanding candidates. Kind of makes you want to polish up your resume a bit, doesn't it? That's called experiencing the necessity to act. It's a state that's critical for reaching your goal because it gets the psychological wheels in motion. Mental contrasting turns wishes and desires into reality by bringing attention and clarity to what you will need to do to make them happen. 2. Seize the moment to act on your goals. Given how busy most of us are and how many things we're juggling at once, It's not surprising that we routinely miss opportunities to act on a goal. Did you really have no time to work out today? No chance at any point to return that phone call? To seize the moment, decide when and where you'll take action in advance. Be specific. If it's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, I'll work out for 30 minutes before work. Studies show that this if-then planning helps your brain to detect and take advantage of the opportunity when it arises, increasing your chances of success by roughly 300%. For more on planning when and where you'll perform tasks, refer to How to Tackle Your To-Do List later in this guide. Deciding in advance when and where you will take specific actions to reach your goal, or how you will address obstacles you might encounter, is probably the most effective single thing you can do to ensure your success. If-then plans take the form, if X happens, then I will do Y. For example, if I'm getting too distracted by colleagues, then I'll stick to a 5-minute chat limit and return to work. Why are these plans so effective? Because they're written in the language of your brain, the language of contingencies. Humans are particularly good at encoding and remembering information in if X, then Y terms, and using these contingencies to guide their behavior, often below their level of awareness. Once you've formulated your if-then plan, your unconscious brain will start scanning the environment, searching for the situation in the if part of your plan. This enables you to seize the critical moment. Oh, it's 4 p.m. I'd better return those calls, even when you're busy doing other things. Since you've already decided exactly what you need to do, you can execute the plan without having to consciously think about it. 3. Know exactly how far you have left to go. Achieving any goal also requires honest and regular monitoring of your progress, if not by others, then by you yourself. If you don't know how well you're doing, you can't adjust your behavior or your strategies accordingly. Check your progress frequently, weekly, or even daily, depending on the goal. Feedback helps motivate us because we subconsciously tune in to the presence of a discrepancy between where we are now and where we want to be. When your brain detects a discrepancy, it reacts by throwing resources at it, attention, effort, deeper processing of information, and willpower. If self-monitoring and seeking out feedback are so important, you may be wondering why we don't always do it. The first and most obvious reason is that it's effortful. You need to stop whatever else you're doing and really focus on assessment. And of course, the news isn't always positive. Sometimes we avoid checking in on our progress because we don't want to acknowledge how little progress we've made. Self-monitoring requires a lot of willpower, but you can make it easier by using if-then planning to schedule your self-assessments. Done the right way, assessing your progress will keep you motivated from start to finish. Done the wrong way, it may actually lower your motivation. Recent research by University of Chicago psychologists Minjung Koo and Ayelet Fishback examined how people pursuing goals were affected by focusing on either how far they had already come, to-date thinking, or what was left to be accomplished, to-go thinking. Koo and Fishback's studies consistently show that when we're pursuing a goal and consider how far we've already come, we feel a premature sense of accomplishment and begin to slack off. When we focus on progress made, we're also more likely to try to achieve a sense of balance by making progress on other important goals. As a result, we wind up with lots of pots on the stove, but nothing is ever ready to eat. If, instead, we focus on how far we have left to go thinking, motivation is not only sustained, it's heightened. So when you're assessing your progress, stay focused on the goal and never congratulate yourself too much on a job half done. Save it for a job well and completely done. 4. Be a realistic optimist. When you're setting a goal, by all means, engage in positive thinking about how likely you are to achieve it. Believing in your ability to succeed is enormously helpful for creating and sustaining your motivation. But don't underestimate the time, planning, effort, and persistence it will take to reach your goal. Thinking things will come to you easily and effortlessly leaves you ill-prepared for the journey ahead and can significantly increase the odds of failure. This is the difference between being a realistic optimist and an unrealistic optimist. Realistic optimists believe they will succeed, but also believe they have to make success happen through things like planning, persistence, and choosing the right strategies. They recognize the need for considering how they'll deal with obstacles. Unrealistic optimists, on the other hand, believe that success will happen to them, that the universe will reward them for their positive thinking. Cultivate your realistic optimism by combining a positive attitude with an honest assessment of the challenges that await you. Don't just visualize success. Visualize the steps you will take in order to make success happen. If your first strategy doesn't work, what's plan B? This is another great time to use your if-then plans. Remember, it's not negative to think about the problems you are likely to face. It's foolish not to. 5. Focus on getting better rather than being good. Believing you have the ability to reach your goals is important, but so is believing that you can get the ability. Many of us believe that our intelligence, personality, and physical aptitudes are fixed. No matter what we do, we won't improve. As a result, we focus on goals that are all about proving ourselves, rather than developing and acquiring new skills. Fortunately, abilities of all kinds are profoundly malleable. Embracing the fact that you can change will allow you to make better choices and reach your fullest potential. People whose goals are about getting better rather than being good take difficulty in stride and appreciate the journey as much as the destination. How can you motivate yourself to approach new responsibilities with confidence and energy? The answer is simple, though perhaps a little surprising. Give yourself permission to screw up. I know this may not be something you're thrilled to hear, because you're probably thinking, if you screw up, you'll be the one to pay for it. But you needn't worry, because when people feel they're allowed to make mistakes, they're significantly less likely to actually make them. People approach any task with one of two types of goals, what I call be good goals, where the focus is on proving that you have a lot of ability and you already know what you're doing, and get better goals, where the focus is on developing ability and learning to master a new skill. The problem with be good goals is that they tend to backfire when we're faced with something unfamiliar or difficult. We quickly start feeling that we don't actually know what we're doing, that we lack the ability, and this creates a lot of anxiety. And nothing interferes with performance quite like anxiety does. It is the productivity killer. Get better goals, on the other hand, are practically bulletproof. When we think about what we're doing in terms of learning and mastering, accepting that we may make some mistakes along the way, we stay motivated, despite setbacks that might occur. A focus on getting better also enhances the experience of working. We naturally find what we do more interesting and enjoyable when we think about it in terms of progress rather than perfection. Finding what you do interesting and believing it has inherent value is one of the most effective ways to stay motivated despite unexpected roadblocks. In fact, interest doesn't just keep you going despite fatigue, it actually replenishes your energy. 6. Have grit. Grit is a willingness to commit to long-term goals and to persist in the face of difficulty. Gritty people obtain more education in their lifetimes and earn higher college GPAs. Grit predicts which cadets will stick out their first grueling year at West Point. In fact, grit even predicts how far contestants at the Scripps National Spelling Bee will go. The good news is that if you aren't particularly gritty now, you can do something about it. People who lack grit often believe that they just don't have the innate abilities successful people have. If that describes your own thinking, you're wrong. As I mentioned earlier, effort, planning, persistence, and good strategies are what it really takes to succeed. Embracing this knowledge will not only help you see yourself and your goals more accurately, but also do wonders for your grit. Study after study of successful people, whether they are athletes, musicians, or mathematicians, shows that the key to success and enhanced ability is deliberate practice, thousands of hours spent mastering the necessary skills and knowledge. Grit is all about not giving up in the face of difficulty, even when you're tired or discouraged. And the best predictor of not giving up is how we explain that difficulty in the first place. When you're having a hard time, what do you blame? Entity theorists, who are convinced that ability is fixed, tend to blame setbacks on a lack of ability. If this is hard for me, I must not be good at it. As a result, they lack grit. They give up on themselves way too soon, inadvertently reinforcing their misconception that they can't improve. Incremental theorists, on the other hand, tend to blame setbacks on more controllable factors: insufficient effort, using the wrong strategy, poor planning. When faced with difficulty, they try harder, armed with the belief that improvement is always possible. This gritty attitude leads to far greater long-term accomplishments. Change really is always possible, and the science here is crystal clear. There is no ability that can't be developed with experience. The next time you find yourself thinking, "But I'm just not good at this," remember, you're just not good at it yet. 7. Build your willpower muscle. Our self-control muscle is just like others in your body. When it doesn't get much exercise, it becomes weaker over time. But when you give it regular workouts, it will grow stronger and help you reach your goals. To build willpower, take on a challenge that requires you to do something you'd rather not do. Give up high-fat snacks. Do 100 sit-ups a day. Try to learn a new skill. When you find yourself wanting to give in or give up, don't. Start with just one activity and make a plan for how you'll deal with troubles when they occur. If I want a snack, I'll eat 1 piece of fresh or 3 pieces of dried fruit. It will be hard in the beginning, but it will get easier, and that's the whole point. As your strength grows, you can take on more challenges and step up your self-control workout. Like biceps or triceps, willpower can vary in its strength, not only from person to person, but from moment to moment. The good news is that willpower depletion is only temporary. Give your muscle time to bounce back, and you'll be back in fighting form. When rest is not an option, you can accelerate your recovery simply by thinking about people you know who have a lot of self-control. Or you can try giving yourself a pick-me-up, anything that lifts your spirits. Listening to a favorite song, calling a good friend, or reflecting on a past success should also help restore your self-control when you're looking for a quick fix. 8. Don't tempt fate. No matter how strong your willpower muscle becomes, it's important to always respect the fact that it's limited, and if you overtax it, you will temporarily run out of steam. Don't try to take on 2 challenging goals at once, if you can help it, like quitting smoking and dieting. and make achieving your goal easier by keeping yourself out of harm's way. Many people are overly confident in their ability to resist temptation, and as a result, they...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?